So I guess it really comes down to this. How do we find the best speaker? Or actually, I should say the right speaker, meaning the right speaker for you. Because too often, it's a popularity contest. You say, oh, speaker X has gotten 1 million rave reviews, my friends heard it and loved it, and it's great, and everything is wonderful, and therefore I should buy that speaker. I could try it at home, etc., etc. I like these reviewers, we're on the same page, and therefore it's a great speaker, and I'll love it. Yeah, that works some of the time. But I have a feeling there's something of a herd mentality among audiophiles. They center around a certain speaker, or even reviewers. And I'll give you an example. The KLH Model 5. Now, I had it in for review here. This is earlier this year. And I'm listening to the speaker, and I'm thinking, I don't know. And some of the reviews had already started to come out. And I'm listening to the speaker, and I'm thinking, it's okay. It's okay. It's good. It's decent. But it's not moving me. It's not moving the needle for Steve, right? And I couldn't bring myself to do the review because I just really didn't have anything complimentary to say other than it's a nice speaker. It's a good, to me, average speaker. And these reviews are coming out rave upon rave upon rave. And I have no idea why they're saying these things. Now, I was hearing it in my home, in my system, with a known, etc., etc., and I was going nowhere with the speaker. And I'm trying placement, I'm trying different electronics, and it never did anything for me, so I bailed on doing a review. So then there's Buchardt. There's another one, right? Rave, rave, rave. Everywhere you turn, a rave on their 300 and the 400 series speaker, and then later the active speaker. And I had one, and I gave it an okay review. But when the others started coming, I just couldn't bring myself to really do the reviews because they didn't touch me. I didn't feel anything when I listened to the Buchardt. Nice speaker, nice people. It's all good, and a lot of happy customers. But I didn't feel anything. And that's the point of today's video. Is just because everyone else is saying it's really good doesn't mean it's good for you. Oh, before we go any further, I'm going to interrupt this rant for just a second to say there's two things at the end of today's episode. One is, of course, the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. And second is, well, I'm going to talk a little bit about these shirts that I wear. These are African shirts. They're not made by my wife, Robin, and I'm going to tell you where to get them, and they are on sale right now for a very low price. Anyway, back to today's rant, which is, I love the KEF LS50, and I love the LS50 Meta a lot, and I've raved about them many times. But you know what? I've seen a number of people saying that they didn't get it. They got them, and they felt they were too bright, or too analytical, or too this, or too that. Some people actually say they're too boring. So it can sometimes be that a speaker feels like a chameleon. Depending on the setting that the speaker is placed in, it sounds different, which is why this is such a complicated game. And yes, you could say it does make sense that you hear it at home in your room with your electronics, etc., etc. Yes, if that is possible, that is a terrific thing. And of course, your first impressions of the speaker might be influenced by this herd mentality or group think that speaker X is fantastic because everyone says it is. That occurs. So even when you hear it, if you're predisposed to love it, you may say, "Oh yeah, they were right," and you could be misunderstanding what it is that's going on at that moment. So you could have a feeling that it's gotten all the rave reviews. I'm totally psyched to get it into your house. You listen to it, and you were so psyched to hear it that you're predisposed to love it, or at least like it a lot, and you buy the speaker because everyone said it was great. And then over time you realize it isn't what you thought it was, and now you're hearing it for real, and your interest wanes, and you eventually sell it, or just put it off to the side and listen to something else. That's a real thing that audiophiles do. So the purpose of today's rant is to just say, just because other people like a thing doesn't mean you do, or have to, or should. For me personally, I remember with Quad 57 electrostatic speakers, it is no doubt a great speaker. Some of my closest friends have them and love them and have had long-term relationships with those speakers. But they don't speak to me. I don't get it. I don't feel it. I mean, I do get it. I know why people like them. But I don't. And even if someone said, here's a pair for free, Steve, I'd say, no thank you, because they should go to someone else who would really appreciate them. So I'm prompting you guys to, well, as George Harrison once said, I think it was a George Harrison song, think for yourself. It's not an easy thing to do because audio is such an ephemeral thing. You know, you can't freeze sound to say, here's one, here's another. It's more about how a speaker, in this case we're talking about speakers, how the speaker makes you feel. I think that's the most important thing. Now, of course, for me, I've raved about, well, let's say Klipsch. I love Klipsch speakers, not all of them, but a lot of them. And well, when I did that review a couple of years ago of the Klipsch RP600M, which was then $500, I don't know what the price is currently, I was head over heels in love with that speaker for its dynamics, for its life, for its energy, for its life force. I never said it was a perfect speaker or even that it was necessarily an audiophile speaker. It just hit me really hard. And a lot of people bought them based on my review. And as far as I can tell, a lot of those people were very happy and satisfied with those speakers. And then, of course, I was a big fan. You know, here's one that I was completely out of sync with the rest of the audiophile world, reviewers and audiophiles, was when I started to listen to Zoo speakers. I can't get the time frame. Maybe it was in 2005 or something like that. I started listening to Zoo speakers, and I totally connected with that speaker. I was chomping at the bit to review it. I reviewed it for a magazine called Home Entertainment and Design, and I had many Zoos follow that first one, which was the Druid IV. Anyway, and I still love the company, and I will be reviewing a new speaker from them very, very soon. But when I started this love affair, a lot of audiophiles and most reviewers did not get Zoo at all. To them, they sounded too bright, too peaky, they didn't have a flat frequency response. They were not audiophile enough, in the opinion of many, to reach or speak to audiophiles. So they kind of were playing outside the audiophile territory for the most part in those early years, except for me. And I was saying, this is a really good speaker, a really interesting speaker. But it's interesting that over time, other magazines and audiophiles heard them and got it. And I remember having some people that I know that own them, this might be their last speaker. It's that good that when they hear it and they live with it, they like it more and more over time. That's a rare thing in the audiophile world, that you like it more 5 years after you bought it than when you first got it. And that's the effect that Zoo has on a lot of people. But not everyone. So therefore, this isn't a blanket endorsement that if you ran out to buy a Zoo speaker that you're going to love it. I don't know that. I cannot predict what you guys will like or won't like. I can tell you what I'm hearing, what I think, how I feel about a given speaker or product. That's what I do. As for predicting your satisfaction, it's hard to say. Too many variables of your genre, how loud you listen, your room, your electronics, your placement issues within the room. There's a lot of stuff there that could make a good speaker, let's say, go wrong, right, or go bad. Good speakers can go bad in the wrong situation. Which means it gets back to you, that you are the final judge, right? You are the final arbiter of what's good, or what's great, or what is the best, comma, for you. That's the point. So how to handle this conundrum in real life is, if you're stuck, right? You're searching for that great speaker and you can't quite nail it down. I think you have to, at some point, settle for something that's good, that's listenable, and then take a deep breath that goes on possibly for a year or 2 or 3, and take your time and get as much experience listening for yourself And try not to be overly influenced by your friends and reviewers or people that work in stores. And just really take your time, because it can take a long time to hear it, to understand what it is you're hearing. It's not easy. It really, really isn't. And I've been listening for a living and making judgments for a living for a very long time now. And sometimes I don't get it. You know, maybe a couple of years from now, I will hear the KLH 5s again here at home, and I'll say, oh, damn, what was I missing? They are terrific speakers. I might, but then again, it's that ephemeral quality of sound and mood, and everything else is changing all the time. Okay, so I hope that helps. I hope that doesn't further confuse anybody, because that's certainly not my intention here. My intention here is to just for you guys to be aware of this groupthink that occurs among audiophiles, that is a certain speaker or just product has this kind of universal love going on, and you are influenced for that, or don't do that. Don't do that. Try to really, really, really think for yourself. Now, as for, well, I'm going to do the Audiophiliac viewer system today in just a second, but I do want to talk a bit about my shirts, these African shirts, and where they come from. They come from Ashanti Field. They are on Etsy. I will link to their site below. But right now, they are having a sale on men's shirts. They're $25 each. They're made of cotton. They're hand printed, I believe, tie-dyed, batik. I don't exactly understand the printing of them, but they're beautiful, and they wear very, very well. They're made of cotton. I think I said that. And they're great shirts. And at $25 a pop, yeah. So if you've been wanting to buy the kind of shirts I wear, that's the place to get them. Ashanti Fields on Etsy. And now it is time for the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. This is Victor's system. He was a service manager for Peter McGrath's sound components store in South Florida for 20 years. His preamp is a modded Counterpoint SA3. I remember those well. Amp is a VTL ST150 DAC, musical Fidelity V90 with an external power supply. The transport is a Pioneer DVD 525. Ah, but those speakers, that's what caught my eye first. Those are Spica Angelus. Oh, great speaker. Oh, and Victor also is running headphones. He has Stax Lambda Electrostatic with the Stax vacuum tube amp. Thanks, Victor. Okay, my name is Steve Guttenberg, and I am the Audiophiliac. This is my regular show, and this is a fun thing to do. I'm on a new schedule without a set number of episodes per week, but it's going to average 2 or 3. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, if you like what I'm doing here on the channel, well, first of all, hit the like button. That's very important to the YouTube algorithm. And I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to this channel as we're inching ever closer to 200,000 subscribers. That will be a glorious day, and it'll probably happen within a month or so. So be part of the surge. And after that, I could say, oh, you should check out my Patreon, which can be found at patreon.com/Audiophiliac. And there is definitely a link to that in the description below this video. And with that, I can say my work here is at last complete. Thank you again for watching, and I really, really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.